Welcome to the No Budget Indie Filmcast, where we dip into the independent film universe to highlight those little films that you might not have heard about elsewhere. Will you agree with our panel? Or will our panel agree with each other? Tune in to find out. I am Milo Dennison, and with me, as always, is Claire Milan.
Hello.
And Cathal Feeney.
Hello.
All right, today we are watching a film called Tunnelen, or The Tunnel. It is we think Norwegian? Is he Norwegian?
Yes, I think it's a Norwegian film. I was trying to guess the start, but yeah, I think it's Norwegian.
We're going with Norwegian. I guess we could have done a bit more research on this.
Yes, I'm almost certain. I'm 98% certain it's Norwegian.
Yeah, it's by André Øvredal, which I'm also probably mispronouncing. Most people would recognize his name from a movie called The Troll, which he directed. And this one is a short. And what it follows is, he directed a film called Troll Hunter, not The Troll.
I thought you were going to say Trolls.
Yeah, it's not called Trolls. No, there is a film called The Troll, but his is Troll Hunter.
Very different.
Anyway, so it's a short film, and it's actually based on a short story by the same name. And it follows a family in the future, and they're sitting in a car, and traffic's basically not moving. It's an automated car. They have no control over it. It's clearly an overpopulated planet, and they're just waiting to get home after a day at the beach, and they're waiting and they're waiting. And you got the family, the kids in the back seat coloring and doing kid stuff. The mom's getting a bit more stressed, and the dad's getting a little, agitated at everything because they got to go into a tunnel to get into the city. And we learn that something, bad happens to you when you get in the tunnel. And it's pretty clear, I think, pretty early on, kind of what happens. But I don't know if I should say, but anyway, the idea is you don't want to go through the tunnel at a point in time that the tunnel closes. If you make it through the tunnel, not during that time, you're A-okay. And what this really comes down to is the overpopulation of the planet and helping clear some of that out, which I don't know, this film, it's got a message that comes from the book, obviously, or the short story that Claire found and shared with us about overpopulation and a technologically advanced society's way of controlling population, and how we all just kind of become not really individuals anymore. They're all driving the same car and that kind of stuff. So it is kind of preaching to us a little bit. I think the special effects were really nicely done for the film. And reasonably decent performances as well. Not too sure about the story, though.
Yeah, I thought it's a film that makes you feel very, very uneasy. Through the whole thing, you're like on edge because you don't want them to get stuck in the tunnel. Because there's great kind of reaction shots. You don't know what it's about at the very start, and there's a bit of tension, there's a bit of anxiety, and the parents are like nervous for the kids. And at first I thought it wasn't a film, I thought it was CGI, the characters, because the way they kind of looked at first. But the special effects in this, absolutely stunning. Like it was amazing. It was top class special effects. And you did have that nervous feeling, which I wanted you to have. And it's quite interesting as well to read a little bit of the short story, and the way it describes in the short film that I think the United States has reached 1 billion people. So the world is overpopulated, and this is their way of getting rid of people in the tunnel. But yeah, there's something in the story that is lacking for me. There's something I think the special effects shone, and the acting was very good. But the story, it was a good message, but there was something lacking in it. I'm not sure what, maybe it was too simple in one way. But yeah, I did really enjoy it. And it makes you think about overpopulation, because we're heading that way. And hopefully this won't be the future.
Well, 1 billion people in the US doesn't seem that much, Yeah. I think there's room for another couple of billion in the US anyway. But they won't let anybody in. I've actually seen I'd seen this before, in fact. So I knew what happened and I knew how it ended. So I kind of lacked that sort of that tension for me, which I presume I did feel when I watched it originally. I'm not a huge fan of these sort of futuristic sci-fi dystopian films where everybody lives horribly and dies horribly. But what I did like about this film was the way they sort of contrasted the family and the behavior of family with sort of the reality of what they were about to go through. Because there's something relatable about it. We've all been children with, and I suppose some people have been parents too. I mean, in that situation, and you could just, you can imagine the sort of the interaction between the family and the parent, or the children and the parents, and they're trying to shield their kids from the horrible realities, but at the same time they're stressed out. So that was done very well, and it was well acted too. As a story, I mean, it wasn't a huge lot of meat, on the bones of the story, but I think they just wanted to show that at that sort of tension building, as it was like a will they won't they sort of a tension, and setting us this sort of futuristic landscape, and maybe there was some sort of message there. I think it's the type of film that conspiracy theorists will love. That this is the way society, this is the way we're heading. We're all going to be sheep, and we're all going to be controlled, and they're all out to kill us. And wake up, everybody. But it was fine.
It was interesting.
What I don't. One thing I did occur to me is I don't know how you could put yourself through that. So I mean, even if you did survive, like how would you mentally cope with that? The stress of doing that regularly would you drive you insane?
It's funny because I watched the second time and she was pregnant. I didn't feel that the first time. So why did they go to the beach? Because they were in the beach, and it's like, was it worth?
Yeah, that's my problem with this film, is because they don't justify why this family is willing to go through this just to spend a few hours at the beach. I do think they explain a bit more about it in the book, because in the book, basically, towards the end, the dad is kind of expressing that going through this tunnel excites him, because in the book, the family's made to conform and be introverted and not be out about anything. And so in the book, I keep saying the book, but it's a short story. In the story, to him, it excites him that he might die, is kind of what I get out of it. And that's what's missing in the film, because you don't get that aspect of why is this family doing this? Why did they just not stay in the city?
Well,
yeah, because there's none of that.
It seems to be implied that life is just so horrible in the city that they have to get out. They have to get away every now and then. Perhaps in the short story, or even in the film, they could have made that random as well. That you have to leave,
and or something like that. Yeah, like you can't not leave the city every once in a while. And just like this is their method of population control, right? Like they've got 2 children in the car, and she's pregnant again, and their population control is just to randomly kill a bunch of people to go through a tunnel. Like, how about population control through, China did it. They limited the number of children that people could have, but they can't do that here.
Yeah, unfortunately, in Ireland, we had like a huge population at one stage. I think it was 11 million at one stage, and now we're at like I think 5 million. So we're wondering
to the US. That's
or died as well of the famine. But it's thinking about that. Just thinking about that amount of people in Ireland. It's crazy. It must have been crazy. Obviously, they lived in big family units, but it's very different.
I think it was 8 million.
Was it? Okay, 8 million. My mistake.
And then it's starvation and immigration, and the immigration continued on for like another 100 years at least, and more. Yeah, like I mean, there's other films have sort of handled this theme. I don't know if you've or dealt with this theme. Have you seen the film Logan's Run at all? Do you ever do that
Yeah.
film?
Yeah. Logan's Run dealt with this better, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. So once you, well, I don't know if you know it there, but it's from the early 70s. But I think once they reach the age of 30, they just kill everybody. Yeah, I think it's
Really? God,
yeah.
charming film.
Yeah, you have to volunteer to die. That's it.
Oh my God.
It's a good film. It's a bit got a lo-fi, but it's actually quite good.
I think it still holds up. Yeah.
Yeah. It was Jenny Agutter and who's the guy? He's this kind of posh English actor.
Yeah, I probably recognize it now. It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, exactly. That handles it better though, because like everybody lives, enjoys life. The area is not overpopulated in Logan's Run, and because they've kept the population low through this method, here you've got this super overpopulated planet, and they're doing these things to keep population under control, but it doesn't seem to be working, you know? So yeah, it just doesn't work.
And also, if you think about, they'll have to like go through this, whatever time they go through, there's a population problem and she's pregnant. You think they would do everything in their power not to have more children.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Why are they not on birth control? Like,
yeah, why? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You know, it just, that side of it.
I want to have children so that I can possibly take my child into a tunnel and have my child.
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
And why do they go all out at the same time? You know, surely it'd be better to split up the family. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Some of them to survive.
Yeah,
exactly.
Stay home.
Yeah. I think maybe it would be better to have, even from the idea of culling the population, it would be better to do a lottery. You know, have a national lottery. You know, once a week, pick out 100 names or 200 names.
Oh God,
something like that. Yeah, there's so many different better ways that you can do this. And then that little bit with the car changing lanes causing traffic to back up. It's like, so all the cars are on auto drive, right? But then this one car, for whatever reason, decides to change lanes. And again, they explain this in the book, but they don't explain it in the film.
Story.
Yeah, but it's still kind of, or the story, yeah. But still, in the film, it's not explained. And it's like, okay, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense, other than to create tension for this family to see if they're going to make it out of the tunnel. And here's my other problem with it too. When they do the exterior of all these cars are electric, right? Yeah. So why is it so loud?
Okay, I didn't cop that one.
First shot of the exterior, it's super loud. And then all the cars turn off when it stops for a minute, and then it's quiet. So the noise is coming from the cars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Are they electric? Maybe they're not.
I'm assuming so. Like maybe they're not, but it kind of implies that they're electric.
It creates more tension, I suppose, when you have that sound effect.
It's creating that tension, and it's it's establishing the overpopulated planet, but it doesn't work in the way that it's presented in this film.
Yeah. You really, I have to say, you really drill down into the nitpicking.
Sometimes. Well, like there's times when you watch sci-fi films, there's your suspension of disbelief a lot of times, and you're like, you know, I accept the Star Wars universe for what it is, right? Or any of those kind of things. But then sometimes when you watch them, you're like, you can't accept it. It just doesn't work. And this is one of those films for me.
Okay. Yeah, like as a sort of a plot. And I got the feeling as well that the guy, the man, he agreed with it, the system. Because at one point they look up at a sign and it says the tunnel of death, you know, stop the tunnel of death. And I just the way he looked at it, I kind of thought, well, it's that he thought they were just, you know, they were wrong. They were gonna the nihilistic, you know, outliers, and this is the right way to do things.
Maybe it is. Maybe in this particular future world, that's the right way to do it. All right. Well, let's rate it, guys. I picked it, so that means you go first.
Okay. So, well, for me, I thought the special effects were phenomenal, like absolutely world class. and the acting was good, but the story, there's so many plot holes that it kind of distracts me a little bit too much. So I'm giving it 3 stars.
All right. Like I'm not overly concerned about the holes in the story, because for me it kind of worked because it did build the tension. You did a lot of times. I'm watching these things and I just I couldn't care. I don't care what happens, and it was rooted enough in reality. With the family, with the behavior of the family, and there was some tension there. So I'll give it 3.5.
I thought special effects were good, acting was good, but beyond that, it didn't work for me. Maybe I wasn't in the right mood when I watched it, but I'm gonna go for a rare 2 stars. I feel like dragging this film down for some reason. I've had a bad week and I'm taking it out on this film.
No.
Okay.
Oh God.
So there you go. Well, No Budget audience, we I don't know, I guess we're mediocre about the film from the sounds of it. If you want to see it, it is available on YouTube. We'll throw a link in the show notes, and you can let us know what you think. You can reach us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at No Budget Show, or of course leave a comment. And with that, we'll say see you next time, and goodbye.
Goodbye.